we would like to invite Dr. Shatadru Chattopadhayay. I will read the biography. Dr. Shatadru Chattopadhayay is a PhD in international economics. He contributed in the field of sustainability and corporate responsibility for more than 2 decades. He founded Solidaridad in Asia region 14 years ago, which now with 500 top professionals providing country-specific sustainability support across Asia. As you know, Solidaridad has more than 50 years of experience. Dr. Shatadru, time is yours, please.
Thank you, Mr. Dharmasarkaru. I will just share my screen.
Yes, please.
Right. Okay. And I hope it is visible, the presentation.
Yes, I thought.
Okay. So thank you. I'm grateful to Dr. Yusuf Basuran and Mr. Dupito Samamora for giving me this opportunity to voice some points about this global framework for sustainable palm oil on behalf of Solidaridad. A special thanks and special mention about Honorable Madam Dr. Musdalifa Mahmood, who has been a constant guide for Solidaridad on multiple issues, and her representative, Mr. Eddy. And also great to hear fantastic inputs from Dr. Agus Prabhavu and Mr. Ziv Ragoswi. Thank you for your presentations. With that, I will just start with a few questions and probably provide a couple of suggestions from our side to the CPOPC for the great work they have done, you have done on this global framework. I will start by, this is something Solidaridad started when we created the concept of fair trade in the world, way back in 1980s when it was called Max Havana. So question is, what is the framework? Because there are a lot of semantics involved here. What is the framework? Why do we need a framework? I think that's a very, very critical element for us to analyze. We call it in terms of standards, framework, concepts, multiple names. The second element about is what constitutes global. Indonesia, if India, China, Indonesia, Malaysia, is it global enough? Or what exactly is global? What level of acceptance makes it global? The third thing is, who defines what is sustainable palm oil? How do we know what is sustainable and who accepts it? That's the other thing. And what could be a possible way forward? These are a few of the elements I think we need to discuss. There are some examples. You already mentioned about UN Sustainable Development Goals. Every country has devised its own strategy on UN SDGs, and they are moving forward with it. It is a fantastic benchmark to use. And interestingly, almost all the voluntary standards we come across are based on some globally accepted benchmark or others, in any case. Either the Rio Declaration on Environment or UN Human Rights, UN Declaration on Human Rights or ILO conventions. The other example is the Global Compact, UN Global Compact 10 Principles. This is the John Ruggie's work. We have been very closely involved with it. This is another example, which is globally kind of worked upon. The third element is the guideline on OECD guidelines, where a select group of countries have decided to work on issues ranging from human rights, labor rights, and environment. This is another example. These are very much driven by multilateral institutions or certain specific countries. There is another example where only the producers comes together, the Gulf Cooperation Council. This is another example where not necessarily for sustainability, but for a certain kind of strategies they have come together. Then there are producer and consumer coming together was the example of International Coffee Organization, which represent almost 97% of world coffee production and almost 67% of consumption. So these are some examples, but there is another issue here, and that is that RSPO and this whole discussion is primarily about standards, is the Western world ultimately has already reached around 92% of the palm oil is RSPO certified. Europe roughly buys around 8 to 10 million tons of palm oil, and it is going to go down further with the biofuel not being accepted. They are not taking palm oil anymore into the biofuel. It will go down further. And you already have 14 million tons of palm oil as RSPO certified in Indonesia. So there is actually an excess supply. Not all palm oil certified as RSPO is actually sold as RSPO. So then what are we debating is the question, ultimately. So if this is the case. So there are four elements which I see here. One is, I'm sorry, one is that already we mentioned about, the smallholders is going to be the future of palm oil supply for bulk of the countries who are consuming palm oil. It is expected to become 60% by 2030. Very little of this palm oil smallholders are under any sort of sustainability scheme, and particularly the independent smallholders. And there was a figure which was given earlier by my previous presenter about how little they produce 17 billion of revenue, but their profit is hardly there. So it can pose new sustainability challenges in future. Secondly, the markets, change because it is given certain kind of incentives and certain kind of disincentives. Over last 2 decades, very large plantations got benefits out of various sustainability mechanisms. But if you look at the 92% of RSPO market in Indonesia, not more than in the European Union, not more than 2% are coming from the smallholders. So, or 1% or 2%. So it is not really inclusive of smallholders, the sustainability market. Third element is very little effort has been made to expand sustainable palm oil consumption in Asia. If we look at the graph here, India, even in Indonesia, I cannot buy any palm oil or a product with palm oil knowing what is sustainable, and leave alone India or China or Japan. Much of its effort has been focused both from the producing countries as well as the NGO world in the European Union. And lastly, I think the national standards are critical because otherwise we will have top-down imposition of, regulations like European Green Deal and other things which are, going to be implemented. So what is the way forward? I think from my side, there are 2 common pathways for this framework, common framework on sustainable palm oil. One is a government to government element. It is a fantastic possibility for the framework to engage with European Union to look at addressing the fundamental issues. Common language is critical. However, we need to go a little beyond that and look at setting up a common fund to build the future of palm oil supply. That is how to help the smallholder to produce deforestation-free, sustainable palm oil, and in line with the new traceability requirements that is coming as part of the European due diligence laws, which is being set up now. The smallholder farmers need support. The second element is we should look for certain quota for smallholder produced palm oil in the trade agreements. There are so many trade agreements happening. Smallholder voices are hard. Smallholder palm oil doesn't reach European Union. There has to be a mechanism by which inclusivity agenda, which is so important for every stakeholder of smallholders, are addressed there. And also there could be a CPOPC European Union joint scientific panel set up to segregate many myths which today prevails in the palm oil sector from the truths about palm oil, which we heard about the kind of positive role it plays. Well, apart from that, I would say it is very crucial for mutual recognition of national standards in Asia also. There are many efforts which have been made about recognizing each other's standards, but Asian countries needs to take the lead in a B2B format, because ultimately the businesses have to, implement the standard, or producers have to manage the standards. So, and implement the standards. Businesses have to also sell the standard. So mutual recognition is critical, and it could start from Asia. It is also important to have therefore, the Asian Palm Oil Alliance, for which we are working as organization, as a facilitator, is becoming very critical to facilitate improved trade in sustainable and traceable palm oil within Asia. Having looked into the European situation, it is crucial to understand that India alone adds 1 million tons of additional demand in vegetable oils every year. And most of this demand is now kind of going away to other vegetable oil, not to the palm oil, like sunflower or soybean. Therefore, this is very crucial. Similar stories in China too. It is also important to support increase in consumption of sustainable palm oil in these countries, and to shift the focus of the producing countries like Malaysia and Indonesia, which has been extensively on Europe, to countries like China and India. And for that, we need an investment and challenge for the negative campaigns. The negative campaigns are not going to be restricted to Europe alone. It will come to India as well, or China as well. And lastly, I think it is very important that there has to be a level playing field for all oils and fats industry and oleochemicals in Asia, which is a point mentioned about not to discriminate palm oil against other vegetable oil, and that debate should be taken up at the Asia. So there are these two pathways, the government to government and B2B, both requires, which can start with the common framework on sustainable palm oil, but it needs to move further there. And one element which I will end the discussion from my end is very often under-recognized, as we could not see even in the previous slide, is the fact from the previous speaker, is the fact that India is the first country in the world to recognize MSPO and ISPO as equivalent to its national palm oil sustainability standard. Your own ministers were witness to these agreements. And this is also a kind of a very strong movement. And we are working on with the Chinese stakeholders to do the same thing, as well as with the Japanese stakeholders. So there is a process which is already on, and that needs to be recognized as well. Thank you very much for your patience and for listening. Thank you.